And as you can see with the title, we started with does a mom of 7 kids actually deserve a new man? I know, bizarre title, but there's a viral video that's actually going around that people have been watching and passing along. And it seems to be a straightforward message when you actually watch it. The woman gives the woman that's the mother, excuse me, that's asking the question to the panel, and she receives a response that we seem is very uniform. But a lot of people in the audience, and as far as women who are chiming in, actually disagreed with what was stated. So we have a special guest today that'll be calling in here in a few, Jerica Harvey. So thank you, Jerica, for joining in. But before we get there, we actually want to play the video so everybody can get caught up. We'll try to give our context and points, and then we'll bring her on. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get this going. All right.
I'm a mom of 7 and I'm 33.
Okay.
With being a mom of 7, do you think that a woman of multiple children is still capable of finding someone?
First, let me ask you before I make the statement. Do the kids have the same father?
Yes, they do.
Okay, well, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Okay, so this is hold on. We're talking about 7 children, okay? This is no offense to you because it's absolutely possible for you to find a quality man. What makes it a tad bit difficult is that you have to find a man who has the financial footing to take care of you and 7 children. And then you also have to be able to find a man who is going to be willing to come in and create structure in that household. 7 children on one person is a lot to create structure in. So there's a lot that this man is going to have to come in and do. On top of that, creating a secure space for you when you have to be a mother and you have to take care of the majority of the things that happen in a house. Are you going to have the ability to be able to love this man in a way that he needs to be loved, in a way that registers as love to him when you have to love 7 other individuals? You're going to need a man who can love those children as his own.
Yep.
That is a huge responsibility to put on a person who does not have those children. Those are not his kids.
Right.
But if I were you, no disrespect, I'll try to work it out with the father.
Oh,
No, hear me out. Hold on.
All right, and we have Jerica join. Just give me a minute, Jerica. I'm gonna get you added on. So give me just a moment, okay? And guess one. One more. Okay. Jerica, can you hear us?
Yeah, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you just fine. All right, so we played the video for our audience, so at least everyone is understanding what we'll be talking about and discussing today. Remember your post, and it gave me a little further context. So just explain it to our audience so they're tracking exactly where you stand on that, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Okay, so I believe the original poster, I haven't watched that video since I commented on it, but I believe she posed the question like how hard it was for her to date with 7 kids and like if she deserved to have a good partner after having all those kids.
Correct.
She did say that she had one father for her children and she was married.
Mm-hmm.
So when I hear conversations like that about women with multiple children, like the assumption is that because we have multiple children, we're looking for somebody to take care of them. And it's like, it's not, we're not desperate for anybody to take care of our kids. We have to do it. We've been doing it like on our own. So us dating, just because I'm dating you or trying to be in a relationship with you, does not mean that you take on the role of being the 100% provider for my kids out the gate.
Okay, so it's more of a financial thing as far as your response is that if you were to get with someone, they don't have to accept that financial burden of taking care of your children, right?
I want to say, I want to clarify, like if we're dating. So dating and being married to somebody is 2 totally different things. Now, if we decide to get married and we merge our lives together,
Mm-hmm.
we're merging our lives together. It's all going to be taken care of regardless. But
Okay. So
women,
so and I just want to make sure, just for audience standpoint. So when I say dating, I'm saying dating to marry. So the end goal is to get
yeah,
married. I'm assuming. So for the context of the woman, the video she made, excuse me, her statement was, to find a long term. I'm assuming it wasn't just like a hookup or just something, to date to waste her time. So it was to actually
hmm
to be in
dating
that.
to marry,
So
yeah,
yeah, so dating to marry. So with that being said, you're stating that once you come together, that basically is like one bucket. No matter what, the children will be taken care of. So you're fine with a situation. Let's say you get a man who works at McDonald's. He can't provide anything as long as he love you. That doesn't matter because the
don't
kids are going
put
to be
don't
taken
put
care
don't
of.
don't put words in my mouth. Okay, so what
All
I
right, just
believe,
clarify for us. I just want to make
yeah,
sure
I'm
I
about to
understand because
let me clarify. So this is what I believe. I believe that two people need to be able to provide for themselves individually, no matter what. So if I am dating somebody, you have to be able to pay your own bills, provide for your own life, right?
right.
I need to be able to pay my own bills, provide my own lifestyle before
Mm-hmm.
anybody comes into the picture, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that if anything was to happen once we do merge together and merge our lives together, right?
Mm-hmm.
We are now both sure that either of us we know how to take care of adult responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
So no, I will not, with 5 children in the lifestyle that I live, I
Mm-hmm.
would not date anybody that worked at McDonald's.
Well, here's the issue. Let's say if that McDonald's income sufficed for his lifestyle, it sufficed for if it meets the standard you just stated, which is he's able to take care of himself. He's able to, I mean, let's say he's a manager there or whatever, but he's able to take care of himself. But now getting with you, he understands that 5 children, that's a whole new dynamic when it comes to raising children. Even bringing one child in the world is a lot of money. So
Yeah, he
if
should
he's
probably try to date somebody that he could afford.
okay, so he has to so that it kind of goes against, it's like two different arguments. So he has to meet a financial standard. So so you see the problem why some men will say I'm better off not getting with the one with a lot of kids because I have to meet a certain financial burden.
Yeah,
That
it's the
so her advice is technically right then, right? Because the advice was you should have stayed with your baby daddy because those are his kids. So he has to assume that because most men, and it's not that it's impossible, which I agree, but most men don't want to sign up for that. And you guys can chime in. I don't want to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I would let her get her. Yeah.
Yeah. You got the floor,
yeah,
Jerica.
I wanted to finish. Okay,
Okay.
so it's a lot to unfold here. Okay.
You got the floor.
Okay. So I'm a strong believer, and I've said this even when I was married, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like people procreate and they try to create lifestyles that realistically they could never afford. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So this was a discussion that I had with my ex-husband. It's like, okay, you we've had all these kids and you don't really want to do the work to help provide a lifestyle for them, okay? Which
Mm-hmm.
is food, shelter, clothing, okay? So if that's something that you know that you don't want to work to provide for, or know that you don't want to better your life in any way to do that, right?
And you talk about your
You don't.
ex-husband,
This
right?
is yes, yes.
Okay. Okay.
So this is something
And
that you.
it's and I just want to make sure just to give context. So this is with your
Mm-hmm.
ex-husband, and all 5 kids are with him.
Yes.
Did you realize this at kid number 5, or was he doing this in the beginning? Did he change, or or
It
did your
was changed
standards
over. It was
involved?
changed over. It changed over time.
So he was
It
doing the
wasn't
right
like that in
thing, and
to
then he.
start. Yes, but
Okay, all
I
right,
feel
that's
like it
good then.
got overwhelming after a while. It's something that you
With the amount of
couldn't really.
kids.
Yes, it's something that you
Okay,
couldn't really afford to do. That's what I'm getting at. Okay,
okay.
so when you're pursuing a woman, right, and this is
Mm-hmm.
what I teach my sons. This is like conversation that I have with friends. Everybody knows what their preference is. Everybody knows if okay, if you're somebody that works at McDonald's, right, and you're the manager at McDonald's, okay,
Mm-hmm.
and you know that's all you want to be, and you
Mm-hmm.
know that you don't have any plans on increasing your income or changing the lifestyle that you live, it does not make any sense for you to pursue a woman that has
Well,
7 kids.
let's assume
Uh,
they have the amount of money that you require. I mean, it's still a financial burden, regardless if you
it's
have the money to reach it. Even and
it's money.
let's say he makes 300,000 a year. He still has to
Okay,
assume that if he gets with you and you have 5 kids, that there's still a financial burden if he wants to marry you. So he has to consider that. So wouldn't it be advantageous for him to be with a woman who doesn't have kids?
I think
Like
it's
this.
advantageous for people to be with who they want to be with. It's it's not okay when we have these debates on social media, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like nobody is required to be with somebody that has kids. Everybody can choose who they want to be with. What I'm
Right.
saying is men who pursue women and go after women that have children, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
they say things like, "Oh, well, what am I supposed to do? Why are you pursuing a woman that has children if that is not something that you want to take on?"
Because
And
most don't want to take that on. I mean, that was the advice of the thing that not that it's impossible, but I mean, statistically speaking, and I'm pulling it up to kind of present that, but statistically speaking, women who are in a relationship and they have children, when they get back in the dating world, let's say it would be harder for, and I'm assuming you're on my age. I'm about to be 38. Let's say mid to late
no, I'm
30s. Jared,
34.
34. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, all right. I'm gonna say 30. My wife always says she's 30, so she 20 actually. I'm just playing. I'm playing joy.
I'm
But listen,
crying.
but so you're about the same age as the woman that was on the video. She was 33. So you're
Mhm.
34. So if I jump back in the dating world, let's say I don't have any kids, and I say, okay, hey, I make $200,000 a year working cybersecurity. I mean, I know me personally, I know that if I get with a woman with kids, that I'm going to accept that responsibility. When I got with my wife, she only
Mhm.
had one. So I was, one was my limit. And I
Yeah,
mean,
see, that's a boundary. That's a boundary that you set. Now
yeah.
for me, now for me, one boundary that I had kind of stepped back on, but I never thought I would is okay. I don't believe as a woman with children in dating a man that does not have children because that instinct is not there. But there are some circumstances where men that, don't have children, maybe they came from big families or, have other experiences in kind of like the parental sector, right? But for me, I feel like that instinct that we have there as parents is it only comes from you having children. So for
Hmm.
me, I would never go and pursue somebody who didn't have kids and then be mad if they act like they don't got kids. They don't have
Hmm.
kids. They don't know what it is to have kids. They don't know what it is to take care of a kid. They don't understand that side of life. You get what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So I think the title of this podcast was are women deserving of like with women who have children, are they deserving of love after
No,
like
no, no, no.
out here?
It's more so it's available. I think that the standard that they have in their mind, I think that it's more realistic. As the lady stated in the video, it's not impossible. There are men out there who will go for that. I just think that most men at the caliber that women have in their mind when they have multiple children,
Yeah.
they can't get that man because that man to say I'm cool. I mean, why would I sign up for
Okay,
that?
yes.
Because it's a
Okay, let's
financial
talk about the
burden.
caliber. Let's talk about that. Let's touch on the
And
caliber,
let's get the
okay?
other guys in too, because I want to
Okay.
make sure I get my guest in. Go ahead. Go ahead, Chris.
Oh well,
Oh,
my first thought. Can you hear me? Am I coming in?
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
My first question is, well, first I want to speak to the topic of the show. Is I took it as what caliber of man, like what do women that have 5, 7 kids? I think for most people, I would say more than one really is starts to be a game changer, and then maybe more than five
Yeah.
is more than you can fit in the car. That starts changing things. So, but my first thought is to ask, Are you looking for a man in your life, like a consistent man in your life?
I'm dating somebody that
Okay,
doesn't
so
have kids right now.
oh wow, okay, yeah, we definitely gotta dive into that. But uh,
Yeah.
and then can I just flatly ask? Let's just get right to it. What do you expect in the dating market? Yeah, so you are a woman who's been married once, and you have 5 kids with that husband, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then so
And financially stable.
you're
So that's why I
financially
wanted to
stable.
speak. Yeah, that's why I
Okay,
wanted to speak on the caliber because I do understand that some of these women can't even take care of their own children and are out
what?
here looking for help. I completely understand that aspect of it. Um, that's why I wanted to, the commentary that I gave was not all women are like that. There are people that are out here that are just looking for sponsors. They're just looking for somebody to come in and play daddy and take care of everything because they haven't done the work to even provide for the children that they created. So for me, the reason I'm able to speak on what my opinion of is this is like I'm not looking for help. Now if we
But if
get
you're not looking for
married,
help, then finances shouldn't matter.
Yeah, that
I mean, like it shouldn't matter if he works as long as he loves you and he's a good man. I mean, don't because your position, you have the finances. So regardless if he's in the
mhm,
picture or not, you're going to take care of your children. So why not just
absolutely.
lead with that he doesn't have to take care of your children?
I mean, I feel like that's what I stated from the
Well, no,
beginning.
maybe I misunderstood you. I thought that you said that if he's working at McDonald's and he's not trying to make more or do that, that's almost a problem for you. Am I
Okay,
misunderstanding you?
so yeah, you're misunderstanding. So
Okay,
you working at McDonald's and being a manager at McDonald's, right, is not so much of um and I'm thinking long term, okay? When I'm speaking, I'm thinking of the end goal, long term, okay?
this car is it?
So is that
Go ahead.
me
I'm listening.
or
No, no, no.
is
We got a
somebody
car
speaking?
outside. Alarm. Can you hear it?
Yeah, I thought it was my microphone.
No, no, no. Can you shut the window for me? My bad, YouTube. You know we live, so
yeah,
stuff can happen.
real life
So
is happening.
yeah, real life is happening outside.
We good though.
We good. Go ahead. We
Yeah,
listening.
explain your
Okay.
position because I want to know what
Um
she's looking for. You say you don't need help, but you're looking for something.
no, let me clarify, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So realistically, everything in life costs money, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we're dating for marriage, the end goal is marriage. We're all going to end up living in the same house, right?
Right.
Okay. So the size of the house is a big deal if a
But what
woman
does
has
that matter
children.
if you got it
If
though? If you
let
got
me
it, I mean,
let me
I'm
fin-
sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
let me finish. Okay. The size of the house is going to matter because maybe he has kids, maybe she has kids because there are instances where it's men that have kids that prefer not to date women that have kids.
For
You get what I'm
sure.
saying? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so if we're merging our lifestyles, right? Let's say he has 2 kids, I have 3 kids. At least, and if they're, it depends on the gender too. You're gonna at least need a 4 or 5 bedroom house. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're not providing the clothes and the food and the extracurricular activities, right? The
Mm-hmm.
mortgage on that home and the bills inside of that home are still gonna have to be paid. Okay? So if you're working at McDonald's, it is not very realistic for you to say that you can afford a mortgage of $2,000 to $3,000, utilities, car notes, car insurance, and things like that, right? What I'm saying when I'm saying I'm not looking for help, I'm not looking for somebody to provide for my children. You don't have
Mm-hmm.
to pay for their football. You don't have to pay for their winter summer wardrobes. They have two parents that are responsible for that. You get what I'm
Right.
saying? I'm talking
Mm-hmm.
about the lifestyle that we're going to live once we merge our lives together.
I,
So I
I,
do
I,
still
I, I mean, I get what you're saying, but you have to understand from a panel of men who are, listening to this and YouTube audience. that's still a financial burden. Like, so if this man come into your life, regardless of how much he makes, if whatever expenses he's bringing, he's able to cover for himself. Let's just say with the man you're with, he doesn't have kids, right?
Yeah.
Right. So no matter, he's taking care of himself right now. He's doing just fine. He's clearly at a level to where you admire him and, you know, maybe see a potential future with him. If, you know, if he wasn't with you, he wouldn't be living in a 5-bedroom home or any that's all because of you. So that's your burden that you bring to the table.
That's
But if
something that they need to think about before they try to court somebody who has
but
that kind of life.
I
That's what I'm
agree.
saying.
I do agree with that. And that's what I'm trying to get the clarification that a man has to accept that in mind. So which means that is a burden that he has to consider, even though he's not coming to the table with that burden. He's coming to assume that responsibility to a degree, not all of it, because you stated between you and the father of the children have to take care of a lot, but he has to some degree. Maybe it be splitting the mortgage, maybe it be doing something. He has to assume that, because if it was just you and him, y'all could be in a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom home and be perfectly fine.
Or if it was just you live in your house and I live in my house, you wouldn't have to worry about paying anything
But is that
but
marriage?
your
Is
bills.
that a? I know, but I mean, but if the goal is like for y'all to be living together in the same home, right? We're on the same
Okay,
page
so
there.
that would then get into the conversation of what we feel like men are supposed to do in the household. That's a completely different
Yeah,
conversation.
I
That's a
agree with you
completely
there. I
different
think
conversation. We're
you
talking
point out what she
about
wants, and you don't want a man that you don't care about that. Like you don't mind if a guy has his own place and you have your own place with your kids. Is that what I'm hearing?
no, now yeah, I don't mind that as we're dating, like is we're in a relationship and we're,
Sure.
going towards marriage. But once we are about to get married, because
And,
I was married for 12 years. I got married
and
when I was 20 years old.
you do want the
Huh?
man in the house. Then at that point you want the man in the house. You want
Yeah,
to share the
marriage,
home.
yes, we combine everything. We are in the house together.
Okay.
Okay, so your mindset, the way you think, the way you manage money, the way you make your money, all of that matters, because if we look at statistics too, financial hardships has a big
Well,
bearing on marriage.
oh,
So
100%, 100%. And
so
I
it's
agree with
not.
that. But I mean, it's just, but you see that let's say for your situation, and Will, I'm gonna let you chime in, 'cause I know you got some good points over there cooking. If a man decides to be with you, or let's say be with that woman who has seven children,
Yeah,
he has to. It's like when I got with my wife, she had one, so I did move how
yeah,
I understood that, hey, when we get a place, we have to have X amount of room, we have to accommodate, we have to do. I understood that, and I treated her daughter just as the rest of my children. So whatever they had, she got. I understood it, which is why I had a limit that I couldn't go beyond one. I mean
yes,
that.
yeah,
So with that being said, I know that if I seen a woman with seven children, 5 to 7, 2+ actually, no matter how beautiful you look, no matter how much money you have, because I know no matter how much money you have, there's still a responsibility I'm going to have to
yes,
assume, which is why most men would say, count me out. That's what the video was really about, what she was trying to tell her. Not that it's impossible, but most men, you limit your chances that, maybe it would have been better for you to stay with your kid's father, because most men are not going to put up with it. But Will, go ahead, man. What you got to say?
No, I was gonna say, I think we're digging a little deep into the finance,
Right. Mm-hmm.
because like I agree with Jerica when she said, you have an opportunity to bow out, in the dating stage. The moment you find out I have 5 to 7 kids, you can just gracefully bow and say, you know what, that's not for me. So I
yes,
think if you hear that and you continue to court anyway, I feel like you got to put some of that accountability back on, to the man to say, well, it's going to be some type of finances that come with it or financial responsibility. But a lot of the fears that I have from it are outside of just the finance. It's more so, the young lady said, like, okay, I have to come in here and create structure for this
yes,
household. So now that's difficult to do, with 5 to 7 kids. And then let's not talk about the ex-husband or who baby daddy or whoever else you have to deal with. Who's going to bring his rules to the household and say, well, don't discipline my kids. I'll do that and
Hmm.
this and that. So there's a lot that's the fear I
Yes,
have.
a lot of layers.
Yeah, there's a lot of layers to it, and that's the fear I have. And then just getting the children to be on board, because you're gonna go through that. You're not my dad stage. That a lot of men can't handle that. So I think that's my biggest fear with. So to answer the question on the podcast, are women deserving? Yeah, I think every woman is deserving to have somebody. But I think women should just understand those layers and the fears that come along with it. It's not just about finance.
And do you think the
Yes,
options are
and
limited?
So the options definitely are limited.
There we go. The market is
The
limited.
market is definitely limited.
And that was the title was to draw people in.
Yeah.
And like you
okay.
said, the answer is yes. Every woman is deserving of a mate.
Right.
But what you bring to the table, even as me, like I have 6 children that are biologically mine. And I understand that if I was single, that any woman that gets with me, even though I can say, hey, I have children between 2 women, you don't have to be their mothers, you don't have to do all this. I still understand there's still some type of responsibility that you have to assume. And you, like, as Will and both you and Chris pointed out, that, you can happily bow out. But I understand that it may in some aspect limit my options in the dating world, and
Yeah, it is gonna limit it. But what the conversations that I have with women, because I more so talk to women. I'm not a man. I can't coach a man. But with women, what I tell them is like, okay, we all be out here. I Not all of us. Most women are out here. Well, he got to make this much. He got to do this. He got to do that. Okay. Outside of money, is he mentally sane?
for sure.
Were both of his parents in the home?
Mm-hmm.
Were How is his relationship with his children if he has them? Does he
Mm-hmm.
want kids? Are you willing to
Mm-hmm.
have more kids? Is it The options are limited, okay? But that's why everybody has to set their boundaries, state their expectations up front.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, if somebody is coming in, they're coming in to date me, me and you are dating. Whenever you meet my kids is when you meet my kids. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
gonna be like, well, little John need a pair of shoes. You need to buy him some shoes. That is not a
Mm-hmm.
requirement for you to date me, right? Me dating you is me figuring out what are your moral, what's your moral compass? How
Mm-hmm.
are you as a man?
Mm-hmm.
Everything else can be worked out after that, but we're going to
Mm-hmm.
communicate that up front. And I believe like there's a wave of women that are divorcing, and I believe wholeheartedly is because they didn't vet who they were married
Opening the
to.
garage.
There wasn't expectations set up front. The conversations weren't had. So you end up 5, 6, 7, 10 years later, like, wait a minute, I done got in something that this isn't okay. I'm not okay with this. And now you
Mm-hmm.
have 4 or 5 kids,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah,
you have to
I
go
got a
back.
question for you.
Yeah.
You said you're dating someone who doesn't have kids. What does that look like for you? If you say you got to that point uh, of basically bringing the kids into the picture, how do you approach like him being able to provide discipline and structure, as well as dealing with your ex-husband and making sure he's okay with that structure? How does that look like for you? Just you know, thinking hypothetically, if y'all get to that
Okay,
point. Yes.
hypothetically, but this is what my beliefs are as
Right.
far as like a man's role in the household, okay?
Okay.
If you are my ex-husband and you are not on a day-to-day basis dealing with the children, the phone calls home from school, uh any life things that are happening, right? And you're just
Right.
a child support dad, let's say that, right?
Correct.
You don't have any bearing on how the household that that man is taking care of runs his household. Now, you having children with me to some extent know that I'm not going to allow any harm to come to our children. I'm not going to allow anybody to mistreat our children. So, for me, my ex would never be able to come and say what a man who is providing for my children in my household, there's nothing that he would be able to say. He's
She can't say anything.
So you're giving
paying child support?
your new husband more
Authority than the
No, no,
father.
no, no, no. Let me say.
Okay.
Let me say.
Okay.
Let me clarify this.
Stop.
Let me
Okay. Yeah.
clar-
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
let me clarify this. What I'm saying is, okay. Say I'm not a physical disciplinarian for real. I'm not a
Mm-hmm.
person that like hits my kids to get them to do things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So their dad, we never whooped our kids for real. We never, even as a unit, we never physically disciplined our kids a lot. Now, if there is a situation where, okay, I'll use my oldest son as an example. He got in trouble at school. He got suspended, and he got suspended for 10 days. Got like recommended for expulsion. Okay. Now I go to his father. I'm speaking hypothetically. I go to his father. Hey, he got suspended. What do you feel like his punishment should be? Oh well, take his TV, okay? But don't
Mm-hmm.
take his phone. Okay. We're in this household. We're the one who is raising him. We take him back and forth to school. Um, and we make the decision that, okay, well, his TV is going to be taken, but we're also going to take his cell phone and his video game.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're going to do, okay?
When you
You
say
as my
we,
ex-husband,
who is we? I'm sorry, I have to clarify.
Yeah. Yeah. You mean we as in
I'm
the
saying
new
we
boyfriend?
if I'm remarried, if I'm
Agreement.
remarried
Okay.
and
Okay. Okay. All right.
yes,
We're on the
yes,
same page.
yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay.
I was thinking that, but I
So,
wasn't sure.
oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Um, that just kind of threw me off. How you discipline in your house, he would never be able to tell me, you ain't allowed to take his phone and you ain't allowed to take his game. Like, okay, you dished out what punishment you wanted to dish out. This is
Mm-hmm.
what's happening over here. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, and
I wouldn't
and
even,
and if I may, just so we don't go on a huge tangent. I mean,
yeah,
I think with co-parenting arrangements, there's ways that my ex-wife, she has, like, we have a standard. Of course, there's things in her home that I respect and I support her on,
yeah,
and I don't dictate the nuances, and vice versa. She doesn't dictate nuances on how my wife and I run our household. But
yes,
I still feel like, just for the meat and potatoes of the actual video, is that regardless that when we said, does a woman deserve a new man, we want to make clarified, yes, but the options are limited because all these things we're discussing are things that a man has to consider regardless. The nuances, he still has to stand. He's still a part of that. If your son acts up, he still may have to make a decision and support you on that. And like I said, if he stays with that, there are men who go through that, but most men may be like, maybe one, maybe two. But once you get more kids, it's just that much added layers. I've seen where women who have multiple children eventually find sustainable relationships once their kids are grown and out the household, just because most men don't want to deal with that. They don't want
I was
to.
gonna touch on that too, the age
Go
of the
ahead.
children.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna touch on the age of the children, and I was gonna touch on the structure that exists before that man even comes into the picture. So I have five
Right.
kids, but there are people that come to my home and they're like, "Where are your kids at?" They're
Mm-hmm.
all in here, but I have structure in my home. Everybody's
Mm-hmm.
doing chores. There's no yelling, running. You're not. I don't have out of control kids where somebody that I'm dating would have to come in and crack the whip. All these kids are out of control.
That,
No,
that is, I will say this, that is a huge turn off. I dated a girl who had three kids, and I remember I took her to the mall, and when we got there, her kids like ran off, and I was like, hey, you know what?
yeah, I
um,
don't see,
yeah, I mean,
and that's
that could be a
th-
whole rabbit hole right there. I mean, and that's good that you have structure too, because and like I said, from what you're presenting, you have the finances, you have structure, and a lot of women don't have that. So you're lessening the burden on your potential mate, saying, "Hey, you come into the picture. My kids are well behaved. Financially, you really don't have to do much besides maybe the home we both have if we have more children or whatever."
yes,
So you are lowering that burden, which it may not be much, but you're making your value more higher than another woman with five kids who may be on the system and have all those things. So I will give
yes,
you that credit, because that is important. That is something that if I was dating, maybe like, you know what, hey man, she make a lot of money. when I come in, the mother and father, they co-parent well. It's not toxic. I don't have to do with all that. So it's different if I get with a woman who has so many issues going on. But regardless, it's still something that the purpose of the video, like I think, and I want to touch on this because you made another point where you said that why would a woman with multiple kids leave a man? Like, there has to be a reason, right?
Yeah.
There has to be something crazy going on, like maybe abuse, maybe infidelity, maybe because you know, most times when somebody's in a relationship, and I will say this, before I got my wife, she was in a relationship for 5 years. I was in a relationship for a long time, so I think that's definitely something to consider, because it's like, okay, when you're in a relationship, you weren't just in the streets on a merry-go-round, you know, hopping from D to D. So your relationship dissolved for reasons in between y'all. But I feel like that it's still just per the video, you know, like I don't recall her giving like the exact reasons. And sometimes those reasons don't matter, because I mean, you could be a widow, right? You could be a widow.
Times it does matter though. This is why it does matter, because if a man is coming in, right, when we talk about structure as far as children, there needs to be structure with the woman too. We need to figure out, does she have multiple baby daddies? Why were these relationships ending? Because if she's a nutcase, I don't know if you're allowed to cuss on here, but she's a
You're fine.
nutcase, you're gonna be baby daddy number 9.
Mm-hmm.
She's a whirlwind. She's just going through me. She has no structure. So yes, ask the question, why did you guys separate?
Mm-hmm.
Why did you leave the father of the children? What is her mindset? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the commentary that I gave was because most men, and this is what I see on social media, most men make the assumption that everybody that got multiple kids, their kids are out of control and they need help to pay for them. And it's like, no, there are some of us who literally are raising our children. It just did not work out with the father of their, it didn't
And if
work out
it's
with their dad.
not too personal, just a quick Snapchat, like, I mean, because you have 5 kids with your ex-husband. I mean, that's a big thing. I mean, if you don't, just without going too in depth, what broke that? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like what
Okay.
happened there?
Okay. So that was only my second relationship in my entire life. I got married when I was 20 years old. Because of my spiritual beliefs, marriage was always the goal for me. I grew up seeing certain things from my mom that I'm like, I'm not doing that. So I was married and I believe in marriage. So I did the work to keep my marriage going, but everybody doesn't grow the same and everybody
Mm-hmm.
does not heal. And
Mm-hmm.
I had to make a tough decision because I have 4 sons and 1 daughter. So there were things that I just didn't want my sons to grow up seeing, so that they
Mm-hmm.
didn't cause harm to the women of,
In their
well, the,
life.
yeah, I had to do a hard stop. I didn't it It's not ideal. That's not what anybody wants to do. But it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't he didn't buy me what I wanted and I just let it
Mm-hmm.
go. No, no, no. This is more psychological, long term, looking at the fact
Mm-hmm.
again that I'm raising 4 husbands and
Mm-hmm.
somebody's wife. So I also had to pay attention to what my daughter was seeing. She's only 5. I had to pay attention
Mm-hmm.
to what she was seeing and what standards she may set for herself because of the example that she has, and I decided that it was too negative. I just walked away.
And that's commendable for you. I mean, my mom was kind of the same way, and I say this to any women, whatever situation you're going through. I used to have this apprehension, like, oh man, you know, she should have left sooner. You should have did this, and that's easy to say from the outside looking in. You know, my mother's in a situation where she stayed married because you naturally, as in the Bible, get it. You want to work it out with the men you have kids with. You want to work
Yes.
it out. You want to, like, I'm giving you chance after chance, and sometimes you may have other children naturally in a home, you sleeping together, you know, and you know, for you to make that tough decision to divorce and move on, you know, I commend you for that. So that's
Yeah.
commendable. I commend any woman, and we don't want to drag this on too long, but
Yeah.
for our question, does a woman with 7 kids deserve a new man? Yes, it is going to be harder. We established that. Is a lot of things to consider. The options are limited. And I just want to close with this question. We'll get off. Since you have sons, right? If your son was single with no kids and he come home with a woman with 5 kids, what would you tell him? Would you tell him he need to pass on that and go get a woman? What would you tell him? And just be honest to God truth. What is your honest advice you
The
would give him?
honest to God truth, the way that, and I know I am an enigma, okay? But the way that I'm raising my sons and the mindsets that my sons have, right?
Mm-hmm.
If my son came home with a woman with 5 kids, I know that she is a phenomenal woman. I know that I know she got her shit together. I know
Mm-hmm.
that she is mentally stable. I know that she is capable of having a long term relationship. I'm gonna automatically know that she is not ran through. That these kids most likely have one father, and I'm gonna trust my son because even right now, the age that they're at, my 16-year-old dates. Okay, I let him date. He goes on dates and talks to girls, and the girls that he chooses now. And when they're out the picture, I'm like, well, why did you get rid of that one? Why don't you talk to that one no more? Oh, well, school wasn't her priority. Or she, you know, she was ratchet. She argued with everybody, always trying to fight at school. They very young, I'm teaching them the type of woman to pursue.
To be
So
with.
I don't think I'm really gonna run into that.
I say, for me, and I'll be honest, I would tell my
Mm.
sons, what the fuck are you doing? I don't, I don't care. I mean, I don't care what her situation. I don't care how great of a woman. There's a great woman without all that luggage and
Yeah, you're gonna
baggage.
have to
And
explain to me why you chose her. And
yeah,
you better knock me out my
but
socks.
the knock me out my socks had to be she's like fucking got millions in the bank, and still I would still be apprehensive about that. I mean, that's just honest advice. It's no different than I would tell my daughters if they go date a man with children. Like, what are you doing? You don't
Yeah.
need to do that, because it's certain things that no matter what, it's a lot of mental luggage and baggage that somebody has to deal with when they bring children, mental issues, and even if, let's say, the situation is ideal, the woman did everything right, there's still some psychological things, like, even with my mother, it was like, why did you stay that long? When I look back at the time, although it's commendable when she left and that she did leave, it's still like most people wouldn't have put up with that shit for like a day, and they definitely wouldn't have had children with this person. I'm thankful that I'm here, but I still think back about that, and respect to my mother and father. I mean, I love them both. They're
Yeah.
not here no more, but I just say that there were things in their marriage that I seen that I'm like, I'm not doing that. And just, so we close on that. Like, what would you guys say? What would you tell Lil Will?
Oh man, I think I would agree. I would say find you there's plenty of women out here because we're outnumbered on this earth. So
Yeah.
So for you to go find a woman that has 5 to 7 kids, man, come on, y'all. I'm sure you can find
Even one, I would be the same one.
or even just one. But
Yeah.
But I'll raise him, to make smart decisions and to really like ask questions.
Mhm.
And don't just think with your other head.
Right.
I mean, she could be bad and fine, and you wouldn't accept it just because of how fine she is.
Mm-hmm.
But no, so I would give that same advice.
Mm-hmm.
Just be careful.
Be careful.
And like Derek had said, you could be baby daddy number 9.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't know what type of mental stability these women have.
Because she could attract that energy too.
All of them aren't here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All of them don't have structure.
Right.
All of them don't have the kids under control.
Mm-hmm.
All of them don't have one ex-husband.
Right.
So Jerica's like a one-off.
Yeah,
So like
definitely.
9 times out of 10, you're gonna be. She's gonna have 3 baby daddies.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have, you know what I mean? Off government assistance.
Yeah.
Don't get involved with that.
Mm-hmm.
Is what I would tell you.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Chris?
I would tell my sons pretty much the same thing you would, Andrew. I would say, ideally, you want to create your family and your legacy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I was born and that never met my biological father. I was very blessed to have a stepfather, married my mother when I was 12, and changed my life more than I ever could have imagined. And so, because of my life experience, I highly prioritize fatherhood. And just a bit of advice to Jerica, but please don't underestimate the value of a strong man in the home. The numbers are in, the
Oh,
data
I
is in, the
don't.
science is there on, especially you got 4 boys. Please make sure, and it doesn't have to be a stepfather, it could be a football coach, or it could be a guy at church or a mentor somehow. But young men, we need adult males and men, father figures at least, to help us grow into healthy men, contributing members of society. Because what young men do, people don't realize this, is that we look to whatever men that we respect and we try to emulate that man. And it doesn't matter if he's a pastor or a track star or a street guy or a businessman. But whatever man that your boys look up to, that's the man that they're going to try to emulate. So I always try to have them surrounded by positive male role models. And that's something that you can't quantify in cash. And maybe if the guy is just a manager at McDonald's, if he's a strong man, he's a great manager at McDonald's, then he could provide a lot of value that a guy with maybe a lot of money could not, because he's all about himself.
I think
Yeah.
that's a perfect thing to say. That's why I feel like that I would hate if you, let's say this doesn't work out and you get someone, maybe a car mechanic. He can't make that much. Maybe he doesn't know how to do, maybe making money isn't his thing, but he's a great man. He doesn't cheat on you. He doesn't put his hands on you, take good care of the kids. And I would hate for a woman in your situation, or,
I would
that, that,
like
that,
to.
that, that, that just wouldn't, that would say you got to make a certain amount, or you got to have this finances. You got to be, I just think with the options already so limited, I just think you shouldn't do that. But I'll let you close,
Okay.
Jerica. Whatever you want to say, go ahead, close. We'll close with
Okay.
you.
So I wanted to say that this is a snapshot. Like I could it's another top. I'm actually gonna do a podcast episode on this on my
You
platform.
gotta invite us on there so we can
I
talk to.
will. I
Okay.
will. But what I will say is that I do not believe that the only provision that a man, can give is money, is monetarily. Okay, I believe that
Hmm.
there's a spiritual, a physical, a financial aspect that a man provides in the life of a woman, in the life of children. So no, I'm not that person that, even though I am a successful business owner, I'm not that person that's like, oh, you have to make this amount of money. But I am realistic. Okay, realistically, if you're working at McDonald's and you're a manager, how much money can you contribute to this household on a regular basis comfortably? It's not that you got to make $300,000 in a year, but I'm not going to take care of you. You're going to help. You're going to help the unit. That is my thought. It's not a
So you,
requirement.
if he met all the other requirements, you will pass
Yes,
on
I
him
have
just because
a.
how much. So everything else he does fine, but because he doesn't meet this financial requirement, you will pass on him.
No, did you just hear what I just said?
Am I misunderstanding?
She's kind of changed a little bit, it feels like.
Yeah, I'm a little confused. That's all. I mean, I feel like I just so
I feel like you did say that at the beginning.
yeah.
I think you did say I'm not dating a man.
Because I'm
Yeah.
trying to get you guys okay, realistically,
He
right?
works at
I was saying
McDonald's.
real.
This is the best he could do. He doesn't make it.
Okay,
I
that's
mean,
it.
but everything
Okay,
else is
me,
good. But he loves you.
me.
He average income, whatever, 50,000, yeah, 40 to 50,000 for a black male. He makes that.
But he's a great father.
But he's a great father. He's a great husband. Everything else, you'll pass on him.
No, I wouldn't pass on him. But
All
I'm
right,
not
cool.
dating somebody that works at McDonald's. Me personally, I'm not dating
Wait,
somebody that
off at
works at McDonald's.
McDonald's?
Okay. That's just a preference. Okay, I get it. So
Okay.
any guy that works at McDonald's, Jerica, is off limits for you. Okay.
Mm.
Yeah, do not inbox her. Go work at a bank,
Because
and you can make the same amount,
unless
and
you're
you'll
trying to
get
be
it.
the owner of the McDonald's, it has to be some growth. It has to be somewhere that you can grow into being more.
Well, and
It
that's
can't be a
something you
ceiling.
can always help. I mean, because that could be an area that he may need to develop in, and maybe other women
Mm-hmm.
passed up on him because of that. And that may be something that maybe because of your situation, maybe he has to be patient and accommodating for all your children. It has to do all that. Maybe that's something you can help him develop. And I think that's the beauty in relationships. I mean, when I got with my wife, there was things she had to develop. There was things I had to develop. And the man I am today at 37, I'm a lot stronger than when I was at 27. So,
I was
you
going to
know,
ask you how old you were when you got married.
Uh, first time I was 20. So, yeah, I was 20. Yeah, like you, so I was young and I went with the flow and I had that same type of mentality because I have children, I should get married, and it didn't work out, yeah, I care for my baby moms. He run down child support, so we're good. But I just say that, for YouTube world, so they know we're not saying that any woman don't deserve a man, but we are saying be honest with yourself and that your options are limited, and that be cognizant. That doesn't mean because your options are limited to not have standards. And there are some diamonds in the rough, as Jerica, what she brings to me is a lot better than probably 99% of women who have a lot of children. So I think that's amazing. Jerica, we look forward to coming onto your podcast. You let us know. Well, we won't be as late next time. We had it was like a lot of issues happened all today. So usually never this late.
I don't
So
know
we
if I could carry that burden. I don't know if I could deal with that burden
what
of
burden?
tardiness.
No. We're never really say. I mean, it was an unfortunate day, so I apologize.
It's a joke. I'm joking.
Oh, okay, yeah, but I mean, it's a business too, so literally, my homie he just texted me like, man, my car on the side of the road. So I mean, this is a lot of life events, but we still here, we still pushing through. YouTube world, thank you, Jerica, thank you. Let us know when you have your podcast. Until next time, YouTube.
All right.
See you.